What is up, fantasy football universe? I should say fantasy sports universe because the baseball guys are going to get mad at me. I'm Nick Capozzi. This is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network, and this might be one of the biggest shows we've ever had. I'm just throwing that out there. This could be pretty epic today because A, we're announcing the Vegas winner, and B, there were a lot of injuries this week. All right, now, the Vegas winner is obviously the key thing. So, without further ado, I have a very special guest, Matt, the co-founder of SportsVault.net, where you can still lock up your league fees for free, right, Matt?
Absolutely.
Because there are people out there who have yet to set up how they're going to collect their league dues. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Oh, you can still accepting signups.
Why wouldn't you? SportsVault.net, let someone else collect the dough for you. You can hire me for that, but I'm expensive. SportsVault costs you nothing. Matt, we're not just having you on today because you're so handsome. We're having you on today because when we did this, I don't know if you know, but we did this crazy tour this year, and the grand prize was a trip to Vegas with me and you, and apparently we have a winner. Is that correct, sir?
That's right.
Matt, make it happen. Who's coming to Vegas with us? Tell me right now.
Do we have a drum roll sound effect? All right, and the winner going to Vegas this year is Ron from San Diego.
Oh, Ron, hey, Ron's coming to San Diego. That is epic. Ron, congratulations. You're coming to Vegas with us. We will contact you with all the details. That is awesome. I am psyched up, Matt. Just curious, I heard your middle name is Vegas. Is that correct?
That's true.
I love it.
Yeah, it's probably Vegas.
I got another announcement to make. And you know what? Just because you're so handsome, I'm going to keep you on the line when I make this
Do I
announcement.
get to announce that one too?
You don't know the winner of this one because
No.
you guys did the draw for that. But I did 32 fantasy football drafts at 32 different bars. And there was one that was so exceptional as an independent because we worked with a great chain with Hooters. But in terms of the best pure fantasy sports bar in America, didn't go to Canada on this tour. We should do a hockey tour. The best. So here it is. You do the drum roll now. Do it. Do it. The 2014 Razzballs 32 and 32 and 32, powered by the Fantasy Sports Network, winner for best fantasy sports bar in America is the Post in St. Louis. What a show today, Matt.
Watch that show. That was a good one, St. Louis one.
I'm telling you, no one was set up for fantasy drafting, fantasy watching. I mean, they should just take the Red Zone channel and move it to the Post in St. Louis. I'm calling that out right now. There you go. Idea NFL. Just remember who sent it to you. Okay, Matt. So I got to do a show today, unless you want to be my co-host.
Hey, I'm game.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm game.
All right. Well, listen. Let me ask you a couple questions. Did you watch the Eagles Colts game last night? You better have, or else we might be up a creek.
I did.
You
Yes,
did?
sir. Yes.
All right. You know who looks pretty good in that Chip Kelly offense?
Who?
Kind of set you up there. Darren Sproles. What? He's the fifth ranked player right now, according to Yahoo.
He is. But I think it's one of those where, to me, it's the same run as what the Seattle Seahawks are doing with Percy Harvin. I think they're setting him up. They're putting him on a pedestal. They're trying to get everyone's attention that they're using him, and in the end, it's going to be the McCoy show in the end.
No, but listen, yeah, McCoy's the number one runner there, but they're using him as a okay. Harvin's not a bad analogy. Well, actually, no. I'm going to argue with you on that one only because Sproles is still coming out of the backfield, and Harvin is to an extent, but Sproles is really there. That offense is so quick. He's going to get touches. 26 touches in 2 games, 263 combined yards. And I'm going to blow your mind right now. He is 75% owned in Yahoo. He is not fully owned. Correct that, people. Correct it.
I'm actually surprised it's that high.
Oh, now Darren Sproles, are you kidding? You know who is criminally under-owned? And I'm slowly coming around on this. Ahmad Bradshaw, 42% in Yahoo. We're going to get to some guys you want to pick up in the show today. And that'll be at least 85% by the end of today, I think.
He should be up there. There's no reason he should be right there with Sproles.
You know what? He looks healthy for the first time in a long time. So, I've been stumping Trent Richardson. And Trent Richardson, other than the 2 fumbles, Why you making me so crazy? Trent Richardson. Not happy about that. But take the 2 fumbles away, and Trent Richardson didn't look bad yesterday.
No, he didn't.
Which is a
He looked
step
better
up.
than he had in a long time.
Yeah. So, you know who didn't look good was Nick Foles. He did not look good.
Yeah, he was antsy in the pocket, Jeff Garcia-ish.
And then someone on Twitter yesterday was giving me a hard time about Dwayne Allen because I've been stumping Dwayne Allen, but I was listening to the Fantasy Funhouse with Nando DeFino on Sirius XM Fantasy Roto Experts. That's what you should be listening to. See, I listen. I do a show and I'm still listening. And Nando brought up a great point. He was saying to try and slow down the Philadelphia offense, what teams are doing or are going to start doing is using their tight ends as blockers so they can pound the ball. And that was a very good argument. So if you have kind of a, I don't want to say middling tight end, but okay, let's call him middling. If you have a kind of middle of the road tight end, might not be a bad idea to sit them against the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So you ready to go to Vegas or what? What do I need to pack when I go to Vegas with the SportsVault.net crew?
Whew. You got to bring at least one shirt. We can't have you naked half the time.
You know what we didn't even plan? We're both wearing SportsVault.net shirts today.
Yeah.
Didn't even plan that. It was totally I swear to God, that was not planned. All right, cool. So again, congratulations to my man Ron in San Diego. You have his contact information, I assume, so we will get on that with Mr. Ron. Congratulations to the Post in St. Louis, best fantasy sports bar in America, according, well, frankly, to me. All right, I went to 32 of them. So, all right, buddy. Listen, we're gonna let you go. When I come back, unless you just keep Matt all day for some great, league fee collecting advice. But when I come back, we're going to go over some of the injuries and, of course, waiver wires. Big waiver wire pickup day. Big one today with the catastrophe that was the NFL injury report this weekend. A lot of injuries, man.
Bring up your zero running back thing.
No, that's not mine.
Okay, you modified it, or you made it better.
It's nice of you to say that, Matt. I can't take credit for that, but yeah, that's one thing I did this year was draft wide receiver, and then I'll go and I'll pick up, maybe not Niall Davis, but maybe Donald Brown. We'll talk about that right after this. This is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. Nick, Matt, thanks for joining us, buddy.
See you guys.
Be right back. Welcome back to Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. Again, special thank you to SportsVault.net, who is sending me and apparently Ron from San Diego to Las Vegas. That is going to be awesome. I got a feeling we might have to do a show from there. But let's get to today's show because we are talking waiver wires. So in the first segment, talk briefly Ahmad Bradshaw, 42% owned. That is going to change today. He is a 3-star pickup for me today. So go get yourself some Ahmad Bradshaw until he gets hurt. Then Trent Richardson is going to be really good again. Okay, so Andy Reid saying that Jamal Charles has a high ankle sprain. There's different grades on ankle sprains, obviously, and you can talk about the difference between high and low. But a high ankle sprain is not a good thing. Now they're saying it's not too serious, but I'm not buying that. I'm not buying what you're selling, Mr. Reid, unless you're selling some great barbecue in Kansas City. So Niall Davis, currently 19% owned. He's a 2-star pickup for me today. Not the top running back I would want if I need a running back, but if you have Jamal Charles, worth spending a little bit of fab on him. Even if Charles is back this week, Charles does not look good. He does not look good. Okay, let's talk about Matt Asiata and actually Jerick McKinnon from the Vikings. So the Vikings went and reinstated Adrian Peterson. Good luck with that. Apparently at yesterday's news conference where GM Rick Spielman announced that, he got slaughtered. I mean, just destroyed in the presser. So what that's telling me is the severe backlash that is going to happen in Minnesota. I know they activated him this week. I could see them turning around on that decision because right now the NFL, with everything that's going on, it doesn't look pretty, and they need to do some PR spin quick, especially with that new stadium going up in Minnesota. So here's my argument as to why Matt Asiata is not the guy you want. I actually have him as a 0-star pickup. By the way, apparently I have a new star rating system. 0 to 3. Because I don't think Asiata is that good, to be frank with you. If AP is going to miss an extended period of time, whether it's by suspension or whatever happens, the guy I want there is Jerick McKinnon, only 12% owned. Here's what's interesting. Didn't get a lot of touches this weekend, but played 21 of 66 snaps I think he has way more upside than Asiata. So if you're going purely on a spec ad, if you're not trying to handcuff, if you've got a roster spot that's just sitting there saying, fill me, I'm going to go and grab McKinnon out of that situation. Here is the guy I want. Well, I don't really want him. But Donald Brown, 9% owned. Ryan Matthews out 4 to 5 weeks. Hold on. This is my look of shock that Ryan Matthews is hurt again. You want to see that again? Ryan Matthews, you hurt? You kidding me? You hurt? Okay. 4 to 5 weeks he's going to be out. Donald Brown, 9% owned. You know what? He's got a 4.3 career yard per carry average. So I don't want to roster Donald Brown, but if you have Ryan Matthews, which I do in one league, it was a keeper league I inherited. Don't get mad at me. I'm going to go and have to make a bid here on Donald Brown. Donald Brown is he's a 2-star for me. So far, the only 3-star I got is Ahmad Bradshaw. Niall Davis, Donald Brown, both 2 stars. Okay, no Sean Marino dislocated his elbow out 4 to 8 weeks. There's quite a variance there. Usually 4 to 5 weeks or 7 to 8 weeks, maybe 6 to 8, but 4 to 8. Apparently, they don't know what they're doing in Miami. And I'll tell you why. Remember how they had Daniel Thomas, who was not very good, and they released him? Guess what they did? They re-signed Daniel Thomas. So, because also, too, you got to remember, Lamar Miller also thinked up. I don't want any part of Daniel Thomas. And if I have Lamar Miller, I'm going to hold him, but I'm not spending my hard-earned fab or my waiver priority on Daniel Thomas. I'll tell you that. Here's a guy I have to go out and get in a couple leagues. Well, actually one league. So I'm in the Fantasy Ball Bloggers Legend League with Scott and Adam from SiriusXM. Of course, Jesse from Fantasy Ball Blogger. It is a tough league, and it's a QB it's a super flex. So you can start a second QB. It's deep roster, or it's deep rosters. I got RG3, which I was kind of excited about going into it. I hedged my bets. I didn't pick up RG3 in a lot of leagues, but I have him in this league. So I got to go get me some Kirk Cousins. I hope no one from the league is watching this and is going to go outbid me. Here's the argument why you want Kirk Cousins. There is a lot of offensive skill position guys. Sure, apparently they're all banged up. Look at you, Deshaun Jackson. But Cousins, when he has played the last 2 years, has been pretty good. Hasn't been exceptional, but he's been pretty darn good. And sometimes when you have that type of offensive weaponry around you, you just need to be adequate. I mean, you can make the argument for Nick Foles. I mean, how different is Nick Foles from Kirk Cousins? Really, think about it when you actually think about it. Who's around? Who are you passing the ball to? You could be Dan Marino, but if you're passing the ball to, I don't know, or handing the ball to Daniel Thomas in the backfield. So here's the other thing, too. John Gruden said that when asked who's going to be the starter when RG3 comes back, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And also, Gruden has been quoted as saying he thinks that Cousins is actually better suited to that offense. So I know RG3 is the face of the franchise, but Kirk Cousins might be the quarterback of that franchise for the rest of this season. If you need a quarterback, don't go blow all your fab on him. But he's a 1-star for me unless you have RG3. I'm very happy backing up RG3 with Kirk Cousins. Another guy in that offense, Jordan Reed, has to get into practice at least once this week if he's going to get in the game plan against the Eagles. Remember what I was just talking about, too, about how Nando DeFino from SiriusXM Fantasy Funhouse, 10 a.m. Eastern every day, was saying that they're trying to slow down, or at least the Colts are trying to slow down the Eagles' offense by running the ball and using their tight ends as blockers. Well, John Gruden saying Jordan Reed has to get in at least one practice if he's going to be in the plans this week. But you know who's been a pretty darn good replacement? 5% owned Niles Paul in 2 games, 12 catches, 185 yards, and a touchdown. I likes me some Niall Paul, so go get him. Deshaun Jackson, team saying day-to-day on his sprained shoulder. I'm a little concerned about Deshaun Jackson because he gets hurt a lot. He's a little guy. He's not little like Steve. He's Steve Smith's size, but Steve Smith is one tough son of a gun. And Deshaun Jackson, I'm not saying he's not tough, but, All right, I got another 3-star pickup for you. Mark this one down. A.J. Green, his toe ligament issue, turf toe. Not a long-term injury. However, Mohamed Sanu is legit. Even when Marvin Jones comes back, AJ Green is hurt now. They're going to run the ball in Cincinnati. But I am very comfortable picking up Mohamed Sanu, 9% own, 7 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. We'll talk more. Guys, you need to be targeting on the waiver wire today. This is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. I am your host, Nick Capozzi, at Nick Capozzi, Nickcapozzi. So Marshawn Lynch exited the game against the Chargers. Now, San Diego just dominated time of possession, and that didn't allow Seattle to really run the ball. But Lynch left because of back spasms. So Turbin came in and was pretty good, 2% ownership. Christine Michael, 8%. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that if there is any sort of extended issue with Marshawn Lynch, Turbin's going to be your main back, but I could see a scenario, let's just say, don't want this to happen, but if Lynch missed the season, let's just say something happened. Not that that's where this is headed, don't get me wrong. Turbin might be the guy at the beginning who's going to get the opportunity, but Christine Michael just oozes upside. So if you need like a bye week fill-in and Lynch is down, Robert Turbin's a good get. But if you're looking for a guy who could hit a home run for you this year, Christine Michael, 8% ownership. Do it. Do it. Bobby Rainey, 22%. I don't think the staff likes Doug Martin in Tampa Bay. They didn't draft him. They drafted Charles Sims, now who's on the shelf for the year. Bobby Rainey chewed up the Rams, and they have a good D-line. Even with Chris Long being injured, I still like the Rams D-line. So Bobby Rainey, I'm only putting him as a 1-star, and the reason is that Doug Martin is still there. And it looks, Lovie Smith is saying, looks like he's probably going to go Thursday. So Bobby Rainey, 1-star. But if you have Doug Martin, you should have Bobby Rainey. I'll leave it to you that way. Vernon Davis having an MRI in his ankle. There is no other tight end you want on that roster in San Francisco, so you're going to have to go digging somewhere else. Carson Palmer's shoulder injury is nerve-related, and that worries me a little bit. They're saying it's minor, but anytime you get a nerve, any sort of pinched nerve or nerve damage, that could be bad news. So that could be really bad news for Michael Floyd, Larry Fitzgerald owners, if Drew Stanton's going to be the guy pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals. See what I did there? Hopefully he's going to be back Sunday, but monitor that situation. Carson, we need you, buddy. We need you. Hey, if you need a QB, and don't look at me funny, all right? I'm trying to think outside of the box here. Geno Smith, 9% owned. Again, not great stats against Green Bay, but I'm seeing him get more and more confidence. And again, if there wasn't that timeout issue, they could have beat Green Bay at home. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So I like me some Geno Smith. Looking for a wide receiver. Devontae Adams went 5 for 50 this week. 1% owned for the Green Bay Packers. He got into the game after Boykins, the third receiver for Green Bay, had a red zone drop. So Devontae Adams, keep an eye on him. He is a guy that is worth considering. Cecil Shorts, 58% owned, should be back in practice on Wednesday. He's probably not available in your league, but when he does get back, whoever's going to be chucking the ball there, going to be looking for Cecil Shorts. Jaguars head coach Gus Bradley confirmed Monday the team will stick with Chad Henne at quarterback for Week 3 against the Colts. But then he turns around and says, we haven't ruled out starting Blake Bortles, 4% owned. Color me confused. Kind of like the Jags helmets. That's a situation to watch. Again, if you're looking for a quarterback with some possible upside, Blake Bortles, I don't think they'll put him in only because the offensive line has not been as good as a lot of people, including myself, thought they would be. That's why Toby Gerhart has been terrible. I mean, just awful this year. So keep that in mind. Not sure if Eric Decker is going to play Week 3. That is not good news after I tell you to go pick up Geno Smith. Well, I'm not telling you to pick up Geno Smith. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a flyer, Geno Smith. Roddy White is dealing with a hammy. We're going to have to see if he's going Thursday. He didn't practice on Monday. Julio Jones was limited in practice. So Atlanta comes out of the gates, gate crashes against the New Orleans Saints. Everyone looks good. Everyone looks sexy. And then they just get pummeled by Cincinnati. So we're going to have to see what happens there. Hey, speaking of getting pummeled by Cincinnati, you know how you picked up Josh Gordon? Either you drafted him or you stashed him on your bench. Okay, 10-game suspension. Well, you know what? There's 3 games. I just got to get into the playoffs, and then he's going to kill for me in the playoffs. Remember you said that? Remember you felt smart? Okay. If you make it to the playoffs, you know who Josh Gordon, therefore Cleveland's opponents are for the 3 weeks of the fantasy playoffs, which is all that matters, week 14, 15, 16. They're at Cincinnati. Or sorry, are they at Cincinnati? Anyway, whether it's in Cleveland or Cincinnati, it's going to be cold in mid-December. So week 14, Cincinnati. Week 15, at Carolina. Week 16, at Baltimore. I'm just saying. Actually, here's an idea. It's popped into my head. Trade Josh Gordon. I think, you know what? I don't want. That's not a guy I want to start against those 3 defenses in my fantasy playoffs. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Another 1-star pickup for you here, Larry Donnell. We don't know yet if it's Donnell or Donald, so I'm kind of making a hybrid. Donald. Say it real fast. Donald. 12 for 137 in his first 2 games. Looks like the safety blanket for Eli. If you need a tight end, go get him. 21% owned. So if you got Vernon Davis looking for a fill-in, there's a guy. Kiri Robinson, 19%. Mark Ingram busted his paw. Mark Ingram finally starts to look good. I get all excited. I'm like, Mark Ingram. And then he goes and breaks his hand. So that was very disappointing. Kiri Robinson, 19% is the get there if you need a running back. I'm not going to recommend him, but Jonathan Stewart, 19%. D'Angelo is going to work out his thigh, see how it responds. Jonathan Stewart. Isaiah Crowell, I'm also not picking him up. Ben Tate's probably not going to be back this week, but Crowell, 21% owned. West, obviously, is the guy who's getting most of the opportunities there. So unless Tate is out for an extended period, Crowell's going to go back to being the third back in that system, so I'm not loving that. Here, though, is the guy that you want to go get. This is a 3-star, I might even say 4-star, which is off the rating system, and I'll tell you why. Alfred Blue. What? I know. I threw you a curveball. Alfred Blue, 1% owned. 2 arguments why. A, Arian Foster gets hurt. B, he's on pace right now for more touches than when Larry Johnson set the record, seems like a decade ago, probably about 8-9 years ago. So Monday, Coach Bill O'Brien said the Texans are going to do a better job of spreading out the carries going forward. Wasn't Grimes who got the ball. It was Blue. Blue has big upside. Just saying, big upside. So definitely, if you got a space, go get Blue. Last thing, super quick, MJD doesn't seem optimistic about playing week 3, which doesn't really matter because the Raiders suck. Liberate Latavius. Say it with me, people. Liberate Latavius. All right, tomorrow we're going to have Seth the Sportsman on with us. We're going to break down go way deeper into the injuries. If you got waiver wire questions, tweet me at Nick Capozzi, Nickcapozzi. This is Razzball Radio Fantasy Sports Network. We'll be back at you tomorrow, people.